Hope you all have had a fantastic beginning to your week. Hope you survived the Snowmageddon. Number one, that's the first thing I'm hoping for. Because yeah, depending where you live in the world, you may or may not have just gotten completely railroaded by the amount of snow. I mean, I know that a lot of people were talking about what happened in Russia. I think it was Kamchatka that they were talking about. Yeah, insane, actual insanity. I mean, okay, a lot of this is AI, like this. Too blurry too. But that's real. That's definitely real. Like look at that. That's almost 2.5 meters of snow, close to. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Let's see some large photos here. Holy shit. That's crazy. That's like a 3 meter pile. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Here in Toronto, we got hit pretty hard. Snowstorm. 2026. Jesus. I thought it was 2016 for a second. Yeah. Absolutely nuts. And you know what? I will admit I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I started off my day trekking through this bullshit snow, and I knew it was coming. I knew the storm was coming. That was all the talk of all the news and everybody talking about what to expect for the winter and all that. I knew it was coming, and yet I didn't think it'd be that bad. I didn't realize it would actually put the cities to a standstill for a day. I mean, they really only started clearing the snow like maybe 4 or 5 hours ago, and it started Sunday morning. You know, you could see it coming down just nonstop, and yeah, it was just very beautiful. The city just getting completely covered, couldn't walk anywhere. Saw some people walking their dogs, and their dogs just get lost in the fucking embankment, just disappear under all that white. Um, but yeah, and I got a little ticked off at the city services today because I was thinking, man, like this is the North. This is the Great White North. We should be able to handle this. We should be able to deal with this. Why are we having such an issue? Buses are taking forever to go, and it was impossible to walk on the sidewalk. I almost ate shit a couple times. I'll admit, I almost ate shit. Um, but at the end of the day, once I finished work and I was headed back, and I saw just how pristine it was. I mean, my God, hats off to the men and women. Let's be real, it's mostly men. Uh, to the men and women that are out there right now. As I was thinking of shit talking them, I was gonna have a whole bit prepared for Snowmageddon, but all that is kind of dead now, which I'm glad for. I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. I expected too much. But no, I'm thankful for everybody that's involved in the effort to clear everything because they make life livable. And without those people, we would be absolutely fucked. They are just as essential as garbage men, as sanitation workers, anybody that's working on the actual infrastructure of the city. You know, 3 a.m. power outage, they're there in their clothes. Like I have somebody close to me that has a neighbor that works in one of those jobs, and yeah, they'll just come and go random hours of the night because they just get a call, and they got to be there. They got to be there. They got to know what to do. They got to fix it immediately. So yeah, thank God for all those people that do that as a career because that's not nothing. You know, you got to like every time that I hear somebody complain about their job, and chances are it's mostly just unless you're actually out there in the world physically. If you work a desk job, if you work in an office, I'm sorry, but like let's be real, it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. You could be in the absolute fucking frigid cold, freezing your ass off, but you have to make it work. You have to make it work because not only is that your job, but the entire city is depending on you and thousands of you everywhere. So yeah, hats off. You know what? Cheers to those people. I hope they have a stiff drink waiting for them when they get home. Because by God, they've earned it. Yeah, I don't know why I expected it to happen overnight. Maybe I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. Um, the news of the new GST benefit didn't help, I guess. But yeah, I was just mad. I was like, why isn't this already clear? Why is this already clean? And by the end of the shift, I realized no, that this takes time, and those people are out there and they're doing the work that needs to be done. I mean, I was even thinking like it's kind of strange how we don't have this as a, I don't know, not as a habit, but it's just like a skill to some extent. Because even like some of the places when I was walking back, I noticed some residential areas just straight up did not, they didn't give a shit. They haven't cleared anything. And I was thinking, I was like, man, like this really should not be that hard. We're the Great White North. We should have this handled. We should have the best snow melting salt. We should have the most amount of plows, all that. And we do for the most part. But in some areas, I mean, I remember I lived in Quebec for a stint in the city in Quebec, and the absolute lack of care when it came to it was insane because we had it wasn't just a snowstorm. We had an ice storm uh, that lasted for a couple of days. And I remember walking to the bus and seeing this woman with a stroller on the other side, not even like 10 meters away from me. There's this just insurmountable puddle of ice water. And she's with her kid, and there's no way to like cross left or right. So I stepped over gingerly, helped her lift the stroller all the way. And I was thinking, like, man, if somebody wasn't there in that moment, she would have been completely just fucked, like have to turn around all the way and just walk that whole path. And I looked around me, and there wasn't really anybody for like at least a kilometer or two. I was like, man, that's kind of nuts. But Quebec does it different. They have, for those that don't know, their public services, let's put it that way, are treated a little differently there. The roads, you'll notice immediately as soon as you drive into Quebec, the roads just completely go to shit. It is just crack city and pothole city. But anyways, I'm getting away from the topic. Yeah, I was just planning on going over Snowmageddon today, but honestly, I realized my mistake. I apologize. I own up to it. Mad respect to all the people that are out there actually doing the work to get this clear. But before we get into today's topic, I just want to say, as always, if you want to support the stream, you can go and like, comment, subscribe. Always appreciate anyone that actually watches this stuff. And otherwise, if you want to support financially, or if you want to have a question read on stream, you can go to the PayPal on the first link there at bio.link/whitepill. It's in the description of every episode, so we'll have it there for you. But without further ado, I just want to start with this phrase here. We're going to talk about the GST credit, or benefit rather, that was announced today, which in perfect Canadian government fashion, it is essentially another version of having your money handed back to you, but you're still losing somehow. Like they're giving it all back, or a portion of it anyways, but you still get fucked, which is, I mean, that's basically almost every other socialized program in Canada, strangely enough. You know, it's funny, like we a lot of people take pride in our socialism, but at the end of the day, it's shit. It's just shit because of corruption one way or another. It's insane. Yeah, we just keep stepping on rakes. But in any case, there's this phrase that's in our constitution, or is at least attached to our frame and understanding what Canada stands for, and it's peace, order, and good government. And you know, I've seen this phrase on social media for a while now. More so now because there's more movements that are going in the direction of Canada first. But the more that I look at it as the ethos of what Canada should be and the ideals that it's built upon, I realize that like none of these are getting fulfilled. I mean, there's In certain areas of Canada, there absolutely is no peace. And this isn't some metaphorical statement. Since the beginning of January, I think just in one township in BC, there's been like 36 incidents of extortion. We're in the 26th day of the year. That's more than one per day. And the extortionists, right? The people that go to these businesses, that shoot at them, that Molotov them, firebomb them, what have you, they all have one connection, one single thing that unites all of them. And that these conflicts are based from India, right? The people that are perpetrating these crimes, they're Indian. The peoples whose businesses are getting bombed and shot at, and not even just businesses, but like houses. Like these people are going to their homes and shooting them up. I've seen several videos of this, and I'll gladly pull them up. Fuck it, why not? We're here, right? All I have to do is just look up Canada and extortion. And we have to scroll down just barely far enough to see, oh wow, look at that. Video evidence of a guy just going up to a house and shooting it. I think I can play the audio. Should be able to. So we're just supposed to tolerate this? We're just supposed to take this sitting down that this is happening in our neighborhoods? What kind of country are we if we're going to allow such behavior to exist? Now look, if you want to make the argument that okay, this has always been a part of organized crime, the mob used to do this. Oh, okay, fucking fine. This isn't the mob though. And why do we have 36 incidents in 26 days? And why are they all Indian? Like, are we just not? Are we just gonna ignore the simple game of connect the dots here? How many? Let me fact check this, right? For anyone that doesn't believe me, thinks I'm a little bit too extreme. This is real, okay? How many incidents of extortion have there been in 2026 so far in Canada? Pardon my spelling. Really? What do you mean? Oh, fucking Christ. All right, well, perplexity, fucking useless. I bet Grok will do a better job with that. But the reason I say 36 is because I saw a member of parliament come out and actually say this today in the House. There it is. Nearly 50 extortion attempts reported province-wide since the start of the year, as of January 22nd, averaging nearly 2 per day. Sorry, my mistake. It was only 35 in Surrey. Sorry, I didn't aim high enough. That's nuts. That's absolutely fucking bonkers. And that's not even the best way to frame it. These people, right? Because no Canadian grows up thinking, yeah, when I get older, what I'm going to do is just start extorting businesses for money, for protection, for what have you, right? This is not a Canadian ideal. This is not what we do. You're not taught this in school. Families aren't teaching this. This is purely connected to ethnic ties. Purely. Let's see how many of these are incidents of Indian on Indian violence. And look, let's not just take AI for granted. Fine, let me pull up a source. Here's Global News, January 15th. Not even, well, just shy of 12 days ago. There have been 16 extortion cases reported in Surrey so far this year. 16, and that's January 15th. That's one a day. That's one a day. That is absolutely nuts. Just homes getting shot up in the middle of the night. businesses getting firebombed. And when I say businesses getting firebombed, I mean businesses actually getting firebombed. I saw footage today. Here, Canada extortion. In a small town, I think in Ontario. I think it was Aurelia. I couldn't be sure, though. Oh, come on. Knew I should have bookmarked the video, but I saw a man try to molly a business. Here's that same video of him shooting it up. Extortion is up 330%.
Reported extortions already in Surrey, Abbotsford, and Delta. The Prime Minister recently visited British Columbia, and he said nothing about this pressing problem. So the question is this: why are these Liberals allowing extortions to run rampant, whether it be in Calgary, Windsor, Surrey, or Brampton? Why?
Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this House has before it measures contained in Bill C-2 that would give the police long-requested abilities to prevent and to catch extortionists and criminals.
Since these Liberals...
I'm sorry, but with all due respect, your government caused this. You voted for this. You decided that it was a good idea to import millions of people, millions, in the span of years, right, from a country where they don't share our ideals, they don't believe in the same religion we do, they don't have the same understanding of society as we do. They have a fucking caste system that's racially organized. If you come from certain tribes, you're treated differently. Your place in the caste determines your role in society, and it has a direct correlation with how dark your skin is. And we're importing millions of them. Why? Because we need cheap labor? Are you fucking kidding me? This was their excuse? This is what the party did? Oh, our birth rate, it's falling. I guess we better import infinity Indians. Jesus fucking Christ. What are we doing? What on God's green earth are we doing? Why would we import people that time and time again have proven that if we import enough of them, or too many of them, that they don't even integrate into Canada, that it's going to bite us in the ass. And not only is it going to bite us in the ass, the average Canadian is going to be paying for it. Okay, may I remind you, the giant tragedy, right? If you're thinking, oh, that's what a racial extremist. The Humboldt Broncos bus crash. The story heard round Canada for months, and rightfully so, because this, right, what happened was a fucking tragedy, totally avoidable. Okay, for those that don't know, for those that aren't familiar, there was this bus of these teenager, almost adult hockey teams, right, or hockey team rather. They were traveling in between cities for a game. This is a common experience for people that are living in the West, or they're not living in an urban area where if you have a rink, right, that's what you grow up and that's what you do. Because there's not really much to do in your small town. Or even if there is, that's just the appealing thing to do. You know, it's a local community thing. It's a common experience among millions of Canadians. If they either they traveled on a bus, or they knew somebody, or they helped volunteer for a team, it's in our fucking blood, okay? We play hockey. And so this bus crash that shouldn't have happened at all, like completely preventable, completely, wiped out an entire team, all the coaches, fucking ruined so many lives. Okay, there was a moment in Canada, right, when people were taking hockey sticks and they were placing them outside of their homes. They were taking hockey sticks and they were placing them outside of their homes in tribute. Do you understand the significance of that? Do you understand, like, how much emotionally charged memories and values have to go into making that a societal movement? Like, without prompting. Nobody told them to put hockey sticks out. It's just some people started doing it in tribute to show that they understood the tragedy, that they mourned the loss of this team. These young men who were just going to a fucking hockey game get railroaded by an Indian trucker who's not even a citizen, has barely been in this country, and fell asleep at the wheel. Right? And the reason that I'm emphasizing this is just to remind people, like, this wasn't all that long ago that this story came up. This happened when? 2018, 7 years ago, not even a decade. Right? George Floyd was what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? This isn't really all that long. This is recent memory. This isn't the 90s, the 80s. This wasn't a one-off incident. Okay, this is the consequence of importing millions of people from a country where their way of life is not ours. And that's an understatement. That's a fucking understatement. It's nothing short of a fucking tragedy. He was an immigrant from India, who plans to appeal deportation from Canada if he's granted parole. Yeah, why hasn't he been deported yet? Are you fucking kidding me? Insane. I remember reading a story where his Canadian wife, was pleading for them to keep him here. Are you fucking kidding me? Insane. Insane. The guy literally fell asleep at the wheel, and instead of pulling off to a rest stop, instead of stopping by the side of literally doing anything, he made the dumbest mistake of his fucking life, and he killed these kids. And this was seen as a one-off back then. People were like, oh, whatever. You know, not whatever. Like, plenty of people wanted him deported, but it wasn't enough. It clearly, like, there was no political will to do it. Everyone thought, oh, well, this isn't an example of a systemic issue. Yeah, fast fucking forward to CBC, right, the national broadcaster, our national state media. They did an investigation, and I can't play the audio because I'll probably get fucking copyright struck. Dude, they did a 20-minute investigation on how easy it is to get a trucker license. Right, this was only a year ago. They should have done this immediately as soon as that happened. Right, so they do this investigation. No need for the in-class, this guy says. No need. There's no class. You don't even have to go to class. Just give me enough money and we'll be set. Unbelievable. These people are driving one of the most dangerous things that is on the road near you. Jesus, that thing is not stopping for anything. That thing is going to hit, and it's going to hit hard, and it's going to annihilate. Look at that. Just look at that for a second. Absolutely needless tragedy. And if you still think that I'm trying to paint an entire community of people based on one incident, no. With all due respect, there was a driver going the wrong way, I think on the QEW, right? Driver going wrong way, highway, kills grandparents. Toronto. Killed a fucking baby and grandparents. On fucking Toronto Star. I gotta remove the paywall. All right, buddy. Unbelievable. Killed a 3-month-old boy and grandparents. A U-Haul driver being pursued by police crashed into them while driving the wrong way on Highway 401. Now, you tell me. You tell me where you think this kind of name is from. right? Which country you think this name is from? Gokulnath Manivanan and Ashwita Jawahar. Oh, my mistake. Apologies. That's the family that... Holy shit. My apologies. I totally got that wrong. It's actually even worse. Oh my god. I feel vindicated. It's so much worse. Fucking Gagandeep Singh. Jesus fucking Christ. I shouldn't laugh, but... Oh my god. I felt really bad there because I almost didn't get the name. I was like, holy shit, that's... Gagandeep Singh. My god. I have no words. And it's actually even, you know what? That actually makes it even worse. Because I assumed this was a white family that had lived there for generations, I'll be honest. But it's even worse because this kind of name, this is not native to Canada. So these people, even if they have been here, it's not for many generations. And even regardless of that, it's nothing short of a tragedy. They're 3-month-old. They're 3-month-old because died because of a man that was refusing to stop for police. For nothing. Right. And instead of actually, paying for the crime, he decided to take an entire family with him. Which, yeah, I guess we're just allowing that. I guess we're just gonna understand that that's normal. Come to the understanding that it's normal because nothing is fucking being done about it. The only people talking about remigration or deportation, I mean, it's not even the Conservative Party. I listened to the question period today. It was fucking pitiful. They only asked about the GST credit because of this announcement and nothing about deportation, nothing about the deal with China. I'm not sure what their plan is here. But look, my point with all of this is to say this has affected too many lives at this point for Canadians to be uncomfortable with the fact that we need to get rid of these people. I mean, this is you killed some fucking grandparents and a kid. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg. How many Indians have caused truck or road accidents in Canada for the last 10 years? Let's say 5 years. Sure, we'll find plenty of examples. Because this just keeps happening. Right? Those extortion cases, that's just one branch of it. That's just one branch of it. The trucker accidents, all this, like it's... all it does is put our society at risk every single day. Every single day. The more that we tolerate this, the more that we tolerate the absolute decay of our cities, the more that it kind of sets in as the new normal, the worse it gets. Just today on my way home, I'm on the TTC. There's a guy wearing an almost entire mask, not speaking English. I can only see the slit of his eyes, walking with his hands in his pockets up and down the train car. You realize how fucking threatening that is at midnight? Like, I can't even understand what you're saying. He's leaning over to people, talking to them as he passes by, and he just keeps doing laps. Yeah, that's the kind of shit that you hear as a statistic. That's the kind of shit that you hear on the nightly news. And you might be thinking, okay, what does that have to do with the deport all Indians? The point is, it comes from the same vein of tolerance. Canadians need to be intolerant of this. We need to step up, every single one of us, and demand not only better of our leaders, right? The cops are doing what they can. They don't like this shit either. What, you think cops like showing up to a fucking crash? Whole family wiped out, blood on the side of the road. Dealing with violent outbursts on the subway. Every single time I get on the subway, there's some kind of a delay. If it's not mechanical, then it's a security incident. Entire stations are closed off. This is not normal. This is absolutely not normal. And I'll tell you this much. I've played footage of people driving in India before, right? Just getting back to the India thing. I've shown footage of this on YouTube before. Not only is it hectic, but like they literally do not give a shit about the rules of the road. They literally do not. Brampton is infamous for this because Brampton has, I think, the highest concentration of Indians per capita throughout the entirety of Canada. I'd be surprised if it didn't. I would be very surprised if it didn't have that. But it is literally known as the area of the city where at any moment some shit could just go sideways on the road. And I've noticed this myself when I'm riding my bike in the bike lane. They don't signal, they don't use their horn, even though they have it on their fucking e-bike. They don't give a shit. They don't care about the rules of the road. They gotta get ahead. My God, I have to avoid main arteries now. Like, I used to be able to have fun biking down Yonge Street. Or Queen Street, or what have you, Spadina, Bloor. Now I have to actively avoid those areas on my bike because I know that I'm just going to have hostile drivers everywhere. Everywhere. It's insane. I remember I was literally just about to bomb a hill and there was a guy that was barely pedaling and I can only do so much to brake. I'm going to breakneck speeds. I'm trying to get up because the hill goes down and it comes up in the exact same angle. I'm just trying to bike, and he's just on his phone, fucking calling someone, looking at a screen at the same time, not paying attention, not giving a shit. Meanwhile, if he just hooks a left or a right at the wrong time and makes me hesitate, what the fuck happens to me? I might fucking die. And he didn't give a shit. And I've had way too many of those encounters, way too many of those kind of encounters where they'll straight up cut you off. I remember I was doing a left turn on a busy street, and it's curving with the road, so it sounds like as if I'm, like, crossing it. But it's curving with the road, and this guy speeds up and cuts me off just so he could make his Uber Eats order on time. I saw it. He had the Uber Eats backpack. Insane. All he had to do was wait 2 seconds. Just wait 2 seconds, let me pass on my shitty little bike. Because if he clipped me, I'm going into traffic. I'm sliding into traffic and I'm getting my head rolled over by a Prius. All because somebody wanted to get their wings earlier. Or fucking get a bonus tip. Jesus Christ, the amount of times I've had people biking the opposite way in the bike lane now, it did not used to be like this. It really did not. Not before Uber Eats. It was fine. It was calm. Right? You kept with traffic. You kept your speed. And I know I'm talking about biking a lot, but this is their behavior. This is where they come from. This is the life that they know, and this is how they will behave. Why do you think that, there have been countless stories of beaches in Canada having E. coli outbreaks? Gee, I wonder why. Maybe that's because they're fucking shitting on the beach. And if you think that's a stereotype, Jesus fucking Christ. E. coli outbreak, Canada, beach. Wow. E. coli at 2 Toronto beaches exceeds threshold. That's weird. Several Vancouver beaches unsafe for swimming due to E. coli. Wow. Oh, that's the same article. Metro Vancouver beaches, 3 Sask beaches. That's so strange that they're all happening at these beaches in the same year. Wow, we also happen to have a high concentration of Indians who are known for shitting on the beach? If you don't believe me, this is what they do. Look at this. I mean, my God, India is literally responsible, I think, for like 60% of global defecation, like public defecation. So I'm pretty sure somebody even did like a TED talk on it. Yeah, there was a TED talk. I was fucking right. I knew it. See, when I say this stuff, I'm not being racist because I hate people because of the color of their skin. This is fact. Okay, they have a public sanitation problem. This is a known fact. Let's hear this little girl say it openly. This Indian girl say it openly if you don't believe me.
With India. Well, if this circle represents all of the open defecation that happens in the world, this is the fraction that happens in India. And this is the fraction that happens only in rural India. 65% of rural Indians defecate in the open. So what that means is that most of the open defecation that happens in the world happens in rural India, and most rural Indians defecate in the open.
And who have we been importing en masse? It's not people from New Delhi. It's not people from Bangladesh. It's the rural Indians. That's where they've all been coming from. And I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact because I for those people that have been here for a minute, that follow me, that know that I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Krutik, who is an Indian, I think he's, how do I put this? He's a cybersecurity expert, but he's more than that. The guy is honestly an entrepreneur, really cool guy. Right, absolutely cool, and I'm so glad that he's come on this podcast twice now, and I really hope to have him in the future again because the guy is amazing. The kind of shit that he's done. For those who don't know, I did a whole episode with him talking about his involvement in the not the recent. I mean, I guess it was fairly recent, about a year and a half ago or so, India-Pakistan conflict. Like he had some involvement with the cybersecurity operations that were going on. And it was just cool to interview someone like that has that perspective, that understands the world through that lens, and that actually was, in a way, on the front lines digitally in that war. That was insane. I can't believe I even managed to to get him to talk about that. But he told me himself when we were talking about it on the last show that we did, part of the problem, right, is that India has a brain drain, just like Canada. And what that means is the people that are actually learning the proper skills, people that are getting the accreditation, right, whether it's in cybersecurity, tech, math, what have you, right, whatever degrees are in demand by business, economics, what have you, right, all those people, they're leaving for better opportunities, but they're leaving for a place, like they have a job, they have a goal. But there's a large contingent of people in India, Indians, right, that also see Canada as an opportunity to take advantage of. They see it as an opportunity where if they just pay enough thousands of dollars, they can get into this country, they can take a shit course, go to a university or a college that doesn't exist. Like, people think Minnesota is bad, right, with what's happening with ICE there. Wait till Canadians wake up with what's happening with India. I mean, this has been I think the biggest open secret, right? I use that word on the show a lot, but legitimately, this has to be the like Canada's biggest open secret because everybody in some way, shape, or form encounters this in their life on a daily basis. If it's not a driver, it's an Uber Eats delivery guy, it's somebody on the street, what have you. Right? You're going to encounter an Indian eventually if you just walk around Toronto enough, or even if you live outside of it, and you're going to have a negative interaction. And this is so pervasive in society. Nobody wants to talk about it. None of the politicians are touching this with a 10-foot pole. They see what's happening down south and they're like, fuck that. We don't want any of that action. And they're cowards. They are cowards, including the Conservative Party of Canada, including the Liberal Party, the Greens, the NDP, everyone. This is not a problem of importing the wrong people. This is the problem of importing the wrong people from the wrong country. If you are immigrating into Canada, you must in some way, shape, or form, if you're immigrating here, you must in some way, shape, or form come from a country that has these ideals. Right? The same ideals of Canada. Safety, what was it? Peace, order, and good government. Right? Those are the ideals that you need to abide by. And we need to enforce that. I'm not saying that this is a nice to have, a column to tick. They have to say the right words and they get in. No. You have to believe in our way of life. That means you need to come from a country that believes in our way of life. Because if we import people from places where you have to cheat and lie and steal and cut corners, you don't have to abide by the same social customs, right? If we get enough of that population mixing with our population, that's a fucking problem. That's a fucking problem. And honestly, I'm tired of being called a racist over it. Frankly, I don't give a shit. I don't care if that's the label that people say, fine, so be it, if that's what you think is racist. But I think, it behooves every Canadian to take this into consideration. How much of this are we willing to tolerate? How many homes are we willing to have shot up in the dead of night? How many shops are we expecting to have firebombed? How many families are we expecting to die because a driver drives on the wrong side of the road? How many beaches are we expecting to close because they keep fucking shitting on the beaches or in the water? Like, I genuinely don't remember at any point in my entire life in Canada, and I've spent 99% of it here, I do not remember at any point having an E. coli warning happen across Canada in multiple areas. The only time, maybe, is because of Lake Ontario and its beach. And Lake Ontario is a fucking shithole. Everybody knows that. It was fucked up long before the Indians came. Long before. Any fish you catch in Lake Ontario, especially near Toronto, throw that fucker back. Do not eat it. Do not. Okay? Do not. All the sewage, everything, all the runoff going directly into that lake, no, you do not want to drink that. That is poison. That is our version of the Thames. It's just, we just don't have the same rate of pollution, so it's still blue. It's not green yet. Eventually it'll get there. Eventually we'll have a scent of our own. Oh, God. But look, I don't care if racism is the label that's put upon me. And I think that Canadians need to start believing that as well. Because fuck this shit. Why are we tolerating this? Why would anyone think that this is normal? I mean, my God, let me pull up some more examples because I have plenty. Okay, the amount of stories that I've heard, that I've read, that I've seen footage of, I mean, every now and then I have to check myself and I think, no, like, am I actually being just hateful towards a people because of the way they look? No, I'm not hateful against that. What I'm hateful against is if you don't share my ideals, if you don't believe in peace, order, and good governance, if you don't believe in rules, if you don't believe in how to treat, like how we treat our women, just the simplest thing, how we treat our women. I mean, for fuck's sake, there was an incident out east in the Maritimes, and I've shown it on the podcast before, where these two lesbians were walking from a bar, just going home. This group of guys all had foreign names. Now, it's not fucking Mike, Chad, Bill, and Ted. All these people, they beat the fuck out of them. They absolutely just demolished them. If you want proof, here it is. Whoops. Lesbian couple. Oh, come on. Lesbian couple assaulted Canada. The news didn't give a shit about this. They didn't give a fuck. Barely anybody covered it. Yeah, even the Globe and Mail did a piss. The appalling homophobic attack you didn't hear about. Not a fucking peep. This should have been nationwide news. Nationwide. Because, look, whatever you think, if you have some religious ideals about homosexuality, whatever. That way of life, right? Those people, they're not going away. This is what we live in. Okay, we live in 2026. This is a normal facet of life. You're gonna encounter lesbians. They're there, right? they're a reality. And as Canadians, we accept that. We welcome them. We don't treat them different. Okay, cool, so she's a lesbian. Whatever. Who gives a shit? But here we go. In the early hours of June 23rd, Emma McLean and her girlfriend were walking downtown Halifax. By Miss McLean's telling, one man made a sexually degrading comment towards her, which catalyzed a verbal confrontation. And the man who made several disgusting slurs, some of them being homophobic. Confrontation then turned physical. Miss McLean says a group of approximately 7 to 10 men started attacking them, throwing several punches and kicks to our faces and ribs. Dude, the photo of these women, you would think that they were just beating on each other, because lesbian couples are known for that, but no. Absolutely not. Where's the photo? Unbelievable. Fucking men? Really? No Canadian would do that. No Canadian would just be like, hey, you fucking dykes, and then go and beat women up? Are you fucking kidding me? No Canadian does that. Nobody would do that. What an absolute insane thing to do. Why? For what? Posting on Facebook, she said the men were Middle Eastern. Yeah, no shit. They're not exactly friendly to the gays, as I covered in the last episode with Qatar. And it's a common, like, this is a socially understood thing. People from the Middle East are not exactly friendly to gays. No fuck. Like, yeah, of course. Because their culture doesn't condone it. Unless you count Afghanistan. Afghanistan is some weird thing where grown men regularly hang out with underage boys. It's weird. It's weird. They have a whole like practice around it. It is so strange. But they don't call it gay. They have a different word for it. Dancing Boys of Afghanistan. There's a whole fucking documentary. And I don't know if that's going to get me a copyright strike. But here's the trailer. What are we doing here? Why aren't we loading? Really? There we go. Yeah, they have entire ceremonies where these young boys just dance in front of them. What do you think they do with them? Yeah, they rape them. This is a common practice. It's so common that when the Americans invaded, this just became a reality. They had to accept that because they had to work with the Afghanis. Right? This is a common occurrence for them. They have weird social mores when it comes to sexuality. No shit. They come from a different society. They hold different ideals. And so we tolerate that, right? Welcoming them into a society with running water, running electricity, no war, no conflict, safety, police, healthcare, dental care, schools, stores, immense opportunity. Opportunity they would not otherwise have if they were back home. And what do they do to repay us? They beat our women, they kill our fucking children. No. No. I say enough of that. Enough of that shit. This is an insane amount of tolerance. This is, you know what it's called? It's called suicidal empathy. Right? That's the word for it. It's called suicidal empathy. And that term is essentially what you think it is. It's the idea of having empathy for something or someone or an idea to the point where it's suicide for you. Canadians are welcoming these people en masse. En masse. Millions of them. Barely anybody is talking about what's going to have to happen to deport them all. Barely anybody. I hear rumblings of it on Twitter, very little of which is actually going out to the political parties. I mean, it's no surprise that Alberta wants to secede. It's no surprise. Of course they do. Why would you want to be part of a union where this is just common law? It makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense that we have to just live like this. You know, it's all fun and games to see memes of Indians getting into car crashes and truck crashes and all that. Memeing out on the internet and having fun with the stereotypes, but like realistically, okay, if we're coming down to what actually needs to be done, these people need to be ejected from society. I mean that anyone that does not have a citizenship status, right? If you're permanent resident, what have you, everybody out immediately. Not in a year, not in 5 years. No. Now. We need to start now. Realistically, we should have started months ago. And thankfully, the population has seen a decrease in immigration, but it is not going fast enough. Right? The only reason that I wanted to talk about this tonight, and this honestly might take up most of my time, because I've been watching what's been happening in Minnesota lately. And you know what? Let me just say this. What's been happening in Minnesota lately, as per usual, America sets the tone and we follow. Right? That's typically the way that it goes in culture and economy, right? The last episode that I did, America sneezes and the entire world catches a cold. Well, we're their neighbor. We're their neighbor, and not only are we their neighbor, we are so culturally intertwined, politically intertwined. American news is what plays on our news half the time. I mean, if we're being real. What happens in America gets played in Canada. Like half the stories come through. Shooting here, major firing there, new policy announcement, even if it's nothing to do with Canada, even if it's not a trade deal, we'll just have American news. Right? And everybody understands this. And America has a much bigger problem than we do, just in terms of numbers, but also in terms of integration. But Canada has that exact same problem too regarding immigration. This is not something that we can just move past. We can't just post statistics. We can't just fucking tweet about it. Something actually has to be done. We need to start, because the Liberals are talking about having a snap election potentially, or they're not talking about it, rather. People are insinuating that. Because the recent benefit that they announced today, the timing of it, like, it just looks like they're trying to buy votes. It looks like they're trying to buy votes, and they're also one vote away from majority. I mean, according to the polls, apparently Carney's been on top. But fucking pollsters are not truth tellers. These people are not. They're not predictors of the futures. They're not clairvoyant. So polls could just be polls. But if they do have an election, this is our chance as Canadians, left, right, what have you. If you have family that you care about, if you just care about even just yourself in your own inner world, you need to understand fundamentally, immigration is not some, I don't know, fucking debate that needs to be had. There is no debate on this. We are importing people way too fast. People that are coming from countries that do not share our cultures. Right? That idea of suicidal empathy again. Most of these people that are voting for this, they're leftists. Okay? The left would not be able to survive if they were placed in any of these countries, whether it's Syria, Gaza, India. They do not have the same ideas regarding sexuality and femininity and free speech, right? All these freedoms that we enjoy in Canada, they do not share that back home. They come here because we have these freedoms and these rights afforded to us. They like that. They appreciate that they can take advantage of that and enjoy that benefit. That's why they come here. They're not coming here because they flipped a coin or were like, oh, well, you know, I have many choices, but I guess Canada's one of them. I was thinking maybe Qatar or China. No, no. They're coming here because we have the infrastructure. We have the technology. We have the society. Because our forefathers, I guess I shouldn't say our, since I'm not a quote unquote heritage Canadian, right? But the forefathers of this nation, the people that built it, they put in the hard work to make this as close to an open trust society, as a high trust society that they could. I mean, my God, we've had the lowest year of Canadian charitable donations on record. People are going to food banks at record rates. It's so bad that just to get popular appeal, our prime minister today comes out and says, oh, everybody that gets a GST benefit, well, now you get more of it. They're just handing back our money. They're buying votes. They're buying populace, or rather popularity with the populace. Right? That's how bad it is. And don't get lost in this debate of, oh, but this is economic relief, it's good for all the people. No. This GST credit that they just announced today, and it's linked to immigration, right? Because most of the people that are going to benefit are new Canadians, new immigrants. Why? Because most of these people come here, right? They're not working high tier, fucking finance or some tech job where you're working with a laptop, right? Like, none of that. No coding. Very few of them are doing that. The majority of them are coming here, sleeping 6 to a room, right? As I've shown us on this episode before, when I was house hunting, or rather apartment hunting, I saw this exact same thing fucking play out. Almost every other single ad was saying 6 to a basement, 3 to a basement, 4 to a basement. Especially in Brampton. I wonder why. I wonder why that is. I wonder if there's any correlation with that. Inviting millions of people, and then all of a sudden, the housing supply shrinks. Wow, what a fucking coincidence. I wonder if that's in any way related. And we don't build housing for shit. So we can't keep up with the demand. So rent skyrockets. I mean, astronomical prices. I understand that Toronto has the reputation of being the New York of Canada, right? Where everything is super expensive, but Jesus fucking Christ, I mean, it gets to a point. It's insane. It's beyond insane. So of course, these people have to bunk. I know multiple people. Okay. I know this one person that I work with, and I won't say who, but I know this one person that told me that she lives in an apartment in Toronto with no windows. And it's not even an apartment. It's like a room that they sectioned off with one of those Japanese, those giant stands where you can see through the paper if you have the light close enough to it. She wakes up with no windows because there's no fucking housing available in the city of Toronto. So they get to segmenting rooms. I mean, my God, why are we tolerating this? Why is that a way of life? I know somebody that lives like above a business. And sure, that might be like a common thing in like downtown Toronto, but not at his age. Not at his age, and not for the money that he's making. And it's not because this guy is making some kind of a choice to save money. No, it's because that's all he could afford. Because living in an actual apartment with a kitchen, your own bathroom, your own bedroom, it's a luxury. And the people that live that, they have to take certain cuts in their life. That shouldn't be a reality in Canada. Not in 2026, not with the amount of natural resources that we have, the amount of technological prowess that we have, the infrastructure that we have. Jesus Christ, Canada is easily in the top 10 of best places to live in the world right now and has been for decades. And by that, like, what I mean by that metric is, I mean, look, we have a functioning police force. Yeah, healthcare is kind of fucked, but you can get it. Anyone can get it. Like, the problem is the influx. If we didn't have this influx of millions of people, right? As I've said before, like I don't want to be some sentimental, let's just return to what Canada was in the 1950s. That's not what I'm getting at. Let's just get back to the levels of the fucking 2010s. How about that? How about we get back to just the 2010s? It was only 16 years ago, not even an entire generation. How's about we just get back to that? And the only way we get back to that kind of semblance of an open society, a high trust society, is by number one, deporting all these people. And their visas are set to expire. I think there's like, let's see. How many visas, whoops, shut up, malware bytes. How many visas are set to expire in 2026 or be expired by then or past that date in Canada? It's a ludicrous number, and we do not have the border agents needed to get rid of that. Over 4 million. Jesus fucking Christ. 4 million people. They want to get rid of 4 million people. We're about to have 4 million visas expire in a year, in one single year. And the reason that I bring all this up, right, because once again, America sneezes and the whole world catches a cold, because what's happening in Minnesota is a lesson. This is a lesson of exactly what can happen up here in Canada. Right, of a people that desperately need to be deported. And once this happens up here in Canada, I don't know, we might see the same thing. We might not. Because recently, right, the Border Agents Service of Canada, the CBSA, they had a scandal were according to CBC, the CBSA employees involved in 259 founded misconduct cases last year. The border agency said it closed 364 investigations during the 2024 to 2025 fiscal year, and 71% of them were founded. The majority of the 259 founded cases has to do with accountability and professional conduct. Yet again, another open secret that the CBSA is just filled with fuckers. They're just filled with fuckers. Founded cases documented last year include CBSA employees who, quote, failed to conduct a proper search during an arrest, failed to refer an individual subject to a lookout for secondary examination, failed to enter required information in CBSA systems, provided false statements, misused law enforcement databases, cheated on a selection process, interfered in immigration processing, or provided preferential treatment to a family member. We had 259 of these incidents. Do you think that when 4 million people have their visas expired, that all of a sudden the CBSA is going to fucking, they're just going to turn around, they're going to turn a new leaf. They're going to have their sober moment. So when I say that Minnesota is a lesson, that's exactly what I mean. And we are woefully unprepared. Every single focus of the government, every single moment, every single waking moment should be on fixing this problem. Because if this year goes by, right, if this year goes by, we don't hire enough agents, we don't hire enough caseworkers, what have you, whoever is needed. If we don't have the personnel, these 4 or 5 million people whose visas expired, they're just going to stay here. They're just going to stay here and they're going to enter the backlog. And if we don't get enough agents on the case here, we're not even going to have the opportunity to have a Minnesota. Because what's happening in Minnesota, in my opinion, is good. That's good. It's a good thing that ICE is going through the neighborhoods and taking these people. Absolutely. They're not arresting innocents. They're going after child molesters and fraudsters and violent criminals or people that would otherwise be deported. If you don't believe me, you can look at the ICE deportation list yourself. The government publishes this. It's an open secret. Right? Where is it? Hold on. Find me the ICE deportation list. I saw it the other day. It's just a constant scroll of people. There it is. Convicted of criminal sexual conduct of 4th degree to a victim between 13 to 15 years old. Minneapolis. Assault, aggravated assault, non-family weapon, aggravated assault weapon, threat terroristic state offenses, Minnesota. Convicted of sexual assault, Minnesota. Assault homicide, Minnesota. Assault, aggravated assault with a gun, Minnesota. Homicide, stolen property, stolen vehicle, assault, homicide, willful kill, non-family weapon, Minnesota. With a gang. Convicted of selling amphetamines, domestic violence, dangerous drugs, cocaine possession, possession of a weapon, like, the list goes fucking on. There's 1,688 pages of this. I mean, what part of this is unclear to people? These people need to fucking go. And we need to make sure that our government publishes a list like this. This is crazy. Why would you want these people in your country? So when I say that ICE is doing the right thing, yeah, abso-fucking-lutely. Even if it means that an innocent person per 1,000 is going to get arrested or hurt. Yes, absolutely. And the people that are throwing themselves in front of these ICE agents, that one lesbian woman that like died for no fucking reason. She has 3 kids. She has 3 kids in broad daylight, decides to just drive up to where the ICE agents are, doesn't adhere to their calls, doesn't listen to them, completely ignores them, tries to drive off, drives into an agent, you forfeit your life. You've forfeited your life. Absolutely. Those are federal agents. Right? The reason that they're there is to get horrible people out of their society. That is their whole job. That is literally their entire purpose of being there, is they're getting rid of pedophiles and drug traffickers, killers. The list goes on and on and on. She drives away, hits the cop on the way out, you forfeited your life. You don't get to drive up on a federal agent in a country like America where people have guns. So the agent could just assume that you could have a weapon because they have to. They have to. The rhetoric online is insane. The amount of people that are posting videos of themselves, geez, these fucking retards, they keep posting videos of themselves saying, we need to gun down ICE. We need to kill ICE. Right? Resistance is mandatory. You have to put your life on the line. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic, find me videos of people saying we have to kill ICE or resist them. Provide X links. I've seen at least 3 of these videos where these people, like, they're wearing armor, they have a gun with them. It's insane. Why would you do that? Why would you post a video of yourself? Did you not learn anything after Snowden? Are these people fucking retarded? They must be. Because if you didn't learn a thing or two about the government surveillance system, the NSA, and America, after what happened with Snowden, you're beyond saving. If you think you're part of some resistance, fucking Antifa group, you're fighting Hitler 2.0, holy shit, get a grip. Get a fucking grip. You're losing your touch on reality. It's insane. 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 These fucking Disney adults LARPing their way to the grave. That's what it is. No. Where's the... No. There was a post that I saw today. Minneapolis ICE. Did I spell Minneapolis right? I hope I did. I did! Let's fucking go. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the video. It's probably going to be buried among all the other dozens of videos that are happening, but... Look, the point of me bringing this all up, Minneapolis is a lesson on what needs to happen here. And we need to do it better. We need to learn from their mistakes, and we need to adapt. Because what's happening there is... I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's an organized form of resistance. It really is. Like, I'll show you. I recently started following this account. Where are they? These 2 accounts that posted videos of just how organized they are. It is nothing short of insane. I mean, these people have entire groups dedicated to patrolling certain areas of the city in roving waves. They have entire signal chats set up to talk to each other and communicate in this network. It is nuts. It's nuts. I saw Proton Drive yesterday. My God, it was literally out of the Black Panther playbook. That's what they were citing as their material. And my God, is there just endless footage of this. I don't even know if I'm going to find the post because there's so much. There's so many layers to this. It's insane. The way that this is being mobilized to protect these communities. And here's the best part, right? Even for those people that think, no, we're going to protect our citizens. We're going to protect our... These citizens that came to Minnesota, brought in from Somalia, that are grifting the United States out of billions of dollars, literally stealing from them. Could you imagine you welcome somebody into your house and they steal your fucking, like, everything that's not nailed down, and then you fight for their right to stay in your house? What kind of insanity is that? What kind of brain dead nonsense conclusion is that? I'm trying not to swear so much because I understand that at a certain point it's just not appealing. But my God, why would you do that to yourself? They don't give a shit about you. Somalians aren't mourning the deaths of those 2 white people that were shot, the lesbian and then this nurse that used to be a vet. They're not mourning you. They don't give a shit about you. They don't care. Why would they? Actually, let me see this. Yeah, here it is. Introduction to organizing. Trainings. They have links. They have chats. They have entire maps set up to operate. Look at this list of people. It just goes on and on and on. And this is one group chat. Just one. Just one. Like now there's people doing investigations. Lawyers are now involved. Right? They're in these signal chats. They look them up on LinkedIn. It is a whole web of fuckery. And we are only at the tip of the iceberg. Only at the tip of the iceberg. There is so much that's going to come out of this scandal. My God, this could be the scandal that defines the entire year. Because this is playing out at the same timing that Canada's going to have its crisis soon. I mean, look, they're going around. One thing I totally haven't mentioned, they have a database for all license plates that they know of that are passing through the city. And that's not just people going around and writing them down on their phones and sending. No. They have somebody in the DMV, potentially in ICE, that is providing them with license plates of cars of agents. This isn't just a protest where people are showing up to the courthouse. They show up to where the politician's office is. No. They're literally going around neighborhood to neighborhood on patrols. And they are monitoring these vehicles. They're calling them out in the chat. They're telling them where they're turning. This is not just some grassroots operation. There have been ties that were found that link Tim Walz's office to the protesters. So this goes high. This goes very high up. Look at all these chats. Look at all these messages. Right? All of them leaving the chat as soon as they realize they're found out. But look at this. All the cars they're taking photos of, telling them where they're going. What do you think is going to happen to you when you start impeding with the work of federal agents? Federal agents, mind you, that were appointed, or rather directed, by the president, who was elected by 70 million people. What do you think is going to happen? The will of the American people is being done, right? If we're following elections, if we're following democracy, and it's being executed, and also this benefits everybody. Why would you want thieves and rapists and murderers in your neighborhood? Why would you want that? Why? Just stop for a second and think, why do you want that? Why do you want the risk of your women being assaulted, your children being killed, your businesses being firebombed, extorted, stolen from? Why would you want that? Why? And for those that think this is just an American problem, if I haven't given you enough examples, Jesus fucking Christ, just go to this account here, the Deport Report. This guy has a whole page dedicated to finding these crimes. And there was one incident today where this guy raped 3 horses. Does that look like a Canadian to you? Does that look like an average Canadian man to you? Does that look like someone that's been in this country, that was raised in a good family, been here for generations? My God. I'm willing to bet good money. I'm willing to bet all my life savings on that, honestly. That this guy's new to the country and he's been here for 5 years. No fucking Canadian does this. This is not a normal occurrence in Canada. God, like the hillbillies have that stereotype, but even they're not that bad. Insane. In fucking sane. Just recently, not even like 2 weeks ago, we had a case where it was found that like 3 million or like $1.5 million worth of liquor was stolen. Let me see if I can find this. LCBO theft ring caught. $1 million worth of stolen alcohol. Wow. Oh, and look, another case of 240,000. Sharndeep Singh, Sigmarnjeet Singh, Simarpreet Singh, Anush Kumar, fucking Prabrit Singh. Like, what are we doing here? Are we noticing a pattern? Is there maybe some kind of commonality to this? Jakshir Singh, theft over $5,000 and break and enter with intent to commit indictable offense. Wow, look at that. Who's stealing the most liquor from the LCBO? Wow, holy shit. Just walking out. Nobody gives a fuck. Security guard's not doing shit. Cool, great. Here's a case where they found like a cool mill. $1.3 million liquor trafficking ring. I wonder what their names are. I wonder where they come from. I wonder if that's a mystery. Have they made any arrests? Are there any names that have come out of this? They were released from custody pending a court appearance in Toronto, police said. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. 126 bottles of whiskey during a search at a North York address. Officers also found 120,000 in cash and several vehicles. I mean, I don't understand this. Oh, and here's the rape that's playing out. Jesus Christ. Could you imagine being that homeowner and, like, you know that your horses got fucking defiled? Like, I know it's not the same as having a kid and that happened to him, but that can't feel good. That's nuts, man. Why would you sexually assault an animal? What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, he's getting a stool. No, he fucked it. He fucked it. Yeah, he definitely fucked it. What do you need a stool for? That's nuts. That's so fucking nuts. I can't believe it. So, once again, going back to Minnesota, what's happening in Minnesota? Okay, this needs to be studied. This needs to be studied up here in Canada. by the people that actually want to propel this idea forward as what to do and what not to do. Because the left is organized. They have chat rooms, they have forums, they have manuals. We need to adopt those exact same principles and counter that. Because when we do inevitably hire, and I'm talking about this as an eventuality, this is going to happen. Canada is going to happen. And the reason that I know that, or the reason that at least I'm making this guess, right, is purely because enough of these incidents happen, enough of these Humboldt bus crashes happen, it's going to be inevitable. If your life eventually is affected by the fact that you can't afford an apartment, right? There's not enough housing because too many immigrants. A girl that you know had a word said her way or sexually assaulted, God forbid, or what have you. A family member or distant cousin or a relative or a friend dying in a car crash because these truckers are on the road and they don't have the proper license. Or they just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when the extortionists came around and they shot the place up. Or they firebombed it. Right, and enough of those incidents happen, Canadians are going to start to care. And when they start to care, they're going to want to vote for a guy that can get rid of that. They're going to start pressuring their politicians. And so when their politicians inevitably try to appease them, they're not going to go far enough. And we need them to go further. We need to do exactly what ICE has done up here. Full stop. We have 4 million, let me remind you, 4 million visas set to expire this year. This year. 4 million set to expire this year. And we have an agency that has at least 249 cases of misconduct just within the last 2 years alone, whereas one of the incidents, or at least some of them, was them helping their family friend get through immigration or not filling out the form properly. So now what? We're hiring people that are friendly to them, that are letting these people in? What the fuck is that all about? That entire agency needs to be cleansed. They need to do a federal investigation into the agency and fire everybody that is guilty of misconduct. And we need to go on a hiring spree. The youth unemployment rate, everybody. You don't necessarily need agents that are going to be on the ground either. You need clerks, you need office workers, you need people that'll actually, work at the base back home. Where you're telling me we can't rustle up some people that are looking for jobs that have that experience? We can fix part of the unemployment problem in some areas by opening this wide enough and letting people join the cause of keeping what makes this country great. Peace, order, and good governance. That is what we were built on. That is what we need to perpetuate. We've succeeded this far by following those principles, and now we've either abandoned or just straight up forgotten about them. That Canada's some set of ideas of multiculturalism and fucking LGBT and Black Lives Matter and think about the native children. What are we doing? What are these causes that we're taking on? Where have they led us? They've led us astray, and they haven't served us. And this is something I realized that I haven't covered today, but you know what? Bear with me for a moment. I'm just going to step away for a minute. I'll be right back, guys. And we're back. No, as I was saying, this story that I wanted to cover today regarding the GST credit, this is but a symptom that is partially caused by this immigration. Right? The complete lack of control over our immigration system. Right? And this for those who don't know, Mark Carney today announced that he thinks that the best way to deal with the fact that food costs way more than it used to not even a year ago, the best way to deal with it is to return the money that the government has taken from you already. Right? He thinks that that is the best way to do it. So he extended the same policy that Trudeau had, his predecessor, who he actually closely worked with and helped advise on economic matters. Like the exact same policy verbatim, except now he's expanded it. So let's just give a listen to this comparison.
That's why we created the new grocery rebate, which will allow an eligible couple with 2 children to receive up to $467. This is a measure that will help make life more affordable for around 11 million individuals and families.
So today we're announcing that our government is launching the new Canada's Groceries and Essentials benefit. This will deliver hundreds of dollars more into the bank accounts of more than 12 million Canadians.
That's why we created the new...
You notice something there, that his number grew by 1 million there? So more people are now going to benefit from this policy? And what the fuck is even $477? You notice Carney didn't even say the amount? Right? And you'll see, if you saw the actual photos of this, Carney didn't even show the price tags on the food. They purposely removed the price tags around him because of how bad the prices are. And I know this for a fact, because somebody pointed this out. Somebody took a photo of the podium before they even like had their speech. And I'm going to scroll here for a second, but I'm going to find it because I remember this post today. I remember replying to it. Like, that's how bad life is in Canada, that when they announce a benefit, they have to hide the actual cost behind it. Like, they physically have to hide it. Oh, really? Is it not here? Unbelievable. Hold on. Carney, GST. No, I remember seeing the photo. And even in the video, you can see that it's not even visible. Here it is. That's where the price would hang. This little area right here where my mouse is, that's where the price would hang. And they removed it. They removed the price out of every item around here. Usually you'd see it maybe just up above, hanging around. Nope. Nope. And so get this, right? The money that they take from you, they're going to give back to you. At a time when food banks are at their highest use, right? We've had way more visits than we've ever had before. That's insecurity. If you can't afford to fucking feed yourself, you're not affording going out, vacationing, a car, forget that. Any of these luxuries? No. Food is the bare essential. If people are having difficulty with food, we're years past COVID. These people have no fucking ground to stand on, especially since his predecessor did the exact same fucking thing not even like 3 years ago. Not even. And this is the new reality in Canada? That this is the benefit? Really? You want to know how bad food is? And I've talked about it on the show before. I paid $12 for fucking 2 pounds of grapes the other day. $12. What the fuck are we on? I understand that it's the winter, that high fees and all that. Maybe, I should have bought it when it was on sale. Dude, I shouldn't have to pay $12 fucking dollars for some goddamn grapes. It wasn't even like at a place like Erewhon or a Farmer Boy. No, it was a Metro. The common man's grocery store. No Frills has the same prices. Insane. So instead of actually fixing the problem, instead of thinking, Maybe we should actually maybe break the grocery monopoly, right? The fact that 3 chains own like 90% of the groceries in Canada. I've shown this infographic before. This is nothing new. Loblaws, Sobeys, and Metro effectively own 80 to 90% of all the grocery market in the entirety of Canada. So they can set prices however they want. And not just that, but the carbon tax, right? The fact that we still have the carbon tax that goes on fuel that is used to transport these goods. So this tax is passed on to the consumer. Right, all these things that could actually be done to fix the problem. No. Here's my solution. I'm going to take a bunch of your money and I'm going to give some of it back to you. You know how much they're giving back? They're giving back a couple hundred over a year. Over a year. Let me see if I can find that infographic that the government posted up today, because my God, it is a sad amount of money. It barely will be able to feed most families. And not to mention this, right? What they're doing with this credit, it only applies to 12 million people. This is not all of Canada. Right? This is focusing on people who are barely making ends meet. And guess what the majority of that group is made up of? Immigrants. Because when you immigrate to a new country, you don't know the language, you work a shit job, you're going to have shit pay. You're going to have shit pay. And I'm pretty sure I replied to a government post about this today. And I need to find it, because the amount is actually laughable. The amount of money that they're giving people is laughable. And this is going to cost us $9 billion over the next 5 years. $9 billion. Instead of making it so that people can, not pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but just have the ability to fucking breathe, instead of breaking up the monopoly, allowing for competition, instead of making it so that Canadians, they don't have to rely on government assistance to fucking feed themselves. 12 million people. The population of Canada is 40 million or just above. We're dealing with almost like close to a quarter of the population that is going to receive this benefit, that is struggling to feed itself. 25% of Canadians, right, if we're going off their statistics, have a hard time feeding themselves. Every 4th person you meet. Think about that. Yeah, that's a fucking problem. Wages are not high enough. Housing is too expensive. We can't afford the basic necessities. This is fucked. This is the point of no return. Something has to change. And this government solution is to give you your money back? Are you fucking kidding me? And we have to pay the dividends on that in the future? Look at this shit, right? A single person right now with the credit gets $543. That's your whole credit for the year. Right, for the year. So broken up into 4, that's what, just above 150, 160, 170, something like that. Now they're doing a 25% increase plus a one-time 50% top-up. So this year, as a single person, if you're in that income bracket, you make $950 instead of the $543. You almost make twice as much. Families get $800 more, up to $1,900 if you have a couple and 2 children. Right, even if you meet those parameters, that's the highest that you can make. $1,890. That's fucking nothing. $1,890 is the grocery budget for a family for, 2-3 months. Not even. For a family of 2, especially in a city like Toronto, are you fucking kidding me? Who is this going to benefit? This is chump change. This is nothing. So I say this story with the GST. I could go much further on it, but the whole point is the problem with it, right? The problem with this benefit is that it's not addressing the problem at all. It is not considering the fact that groceries are way too expensive by design. This fucking carbon tax that we keep for what? Why do we still have the carbon tax? I mean, the people that are perpetuating this system, the Liberal Party, the NDP, the Greens, whoever agrees with this, they are in direct opposition to the ideals of Canada, of peace, order, and good governance. It goes against that completely, inherently. I don't know what other words I can use to make this more clear. This fucks people over for life. You are setting back entire generations. That's what's happening here. This isn't just some fucking wishy-washy, oh, whatever, oh, we get a new benefit. No, 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 no. This is a bellwether. And I don't like to be hyperbolic for no reason, but if the first thing that an administration does as soon as they come back from break, the first thing that they do is they announce, hey, we're giving your money back. Guess what? It's election season. It's election season and they're buying your votes. If the life in Canada, if the quality of life in Canada was actually so good as they say it is, and we're buying Canadian and fucking elbows up and everything is working and we're going in with it eyes wide open, right? If life is as good as they say it is, why do you have to give charity out to people? Why are 1 in 4 Canadians starving? Why do they need government assistance to feed themselves? An economic powerhouse of a country does not have a problem with feeding its own people. It shouldn't. And yet we do. Why? We shouldn't have to accept this. We shouldn't have to accept this level of rent. We shouldn't have to accept this level of lawlessness. I mean, the amount of stories I've shared on this podcast. That one pedophile that is still awaiting his deportation case. That showed, I mean, fuck, I don't know what else to word to use. He showed child porn to his wife and she didn't care because they're both from India and apparently it's no big deal over there and that's their culture. Really? These are the kind of people that we're letting stay here? Letting have these benefits? My God, how much of the immigrant population is receiving this GST that my generation and the next generations are going to have to pay off? This is ludicrous. So in the context of Minnesota, right, Canada's is very close. We are just over the edge, just about to be over the edge of having our own crisis, except it's with Indians. And we need to meet the moment. We need to rise to the occasion. We need to hold our position, our integrity. Canada stands for certain ideas. Canada stands for a certain way of life, and we need to defend them at all costs, or we lose. And when we lose, those ideals die, and this nation becomes something entirely different. It just becomes a group of warring tribal provinces. If eventually enough of these people integrate and they start voting for each other in power, we're going to have England. We're going to have what's happening in England and South Africa. And that's not even hyperbolic. We're literally seeing that play out. You know, I for one like it that the basis of Canada was white and European. And I don't think any Canadian should be ashamed of saying that. I really don't. I really do not. It brought us things that we would otherwise not get if other cultures had founded this nation. It's as simple as that. I like the order. I like the law. I like the police. The fact that we have them, a functioning police system, running water, sanitation, internet, safety, general public safety up until fucking 10 years ago. Right? The sense that I can make it here. I can come to this country, I can learn the language, I can adapt to the customs. Right? So long as you come from a culture that actually shares these ideals. I mean, that's what made this nation great for a moment, and now we've just completely gone the other way with it. Now we've just let it run away from ourselves. And for what? So that Uber Eats could be cheaper? Wow. Fuck, what a great trade. And that's another thing. I've mentioned this here before, but and we'll finish off the show soon enough, but one thing you can actually do to boycott this, yeah, stop eating out with Uber Eats. Stop having it delivered. Cut off the economic incentive for these people to work. Stop using Uber. Take transit. Take a bike. Have your friend fucking drive you. Go pick up your own food. Cook at home. I mean that with the absolute sincerity. Stop buying Tim Hortons. Boycott Tim Hortons. Boycott all the businesses that use foreign labor like that as much as you can. And yes, a lot of them are farms and some of them are Amazon and they're unavoidable. Fine. But do your part. Do your part to kneecap this system to make sure that it doesn't perpetuate. I mean that with all sincerity. I understand that that could be misconstrued as a joke or a hyperbole or what have you. We need to put this shit to a stop, or we are not going to have our country. We're not going to have Canada as we'd enjoyed it in our youth. And more importantly, for future generations are not even going to know what that is. So yes, absolutely. I know I've been harping on it for the longest time this show, but yeah, what's happening in Minnesota, it's an absolutely valuable lesson for Canadians up here to learn. The way that people are organizing down there, both the left and the right, we have to take a look at that. We have to analyze it. We have to learn from it. Because soon enough, we're going to have our own little Minnesota, except it's going to happen across the entire country. You know, right now, these extortion cases, they seem far away because they're happening in British Columbia. Just wait till you see it happening in Brampton, Ontario. Just wait till you see it start happening in Halifax, in Edmonton, wherever. You know, even if Edmonton succeeds with their succession, they have plenty of Indians of their own that are going to cause enough problems. This is a problem that affects the entirety of Canada. The entirety. I mean, for God's sake, I remember a protest happening in PEI. PEI is one of the least populated provinces in all of Canada. And they swarmed them with Indians to the point where enough of these towns came together and said, we literally don't have jobs for you. What do you want us to do? We don't have enough people. We don't have enough businesses. You need to go elsewhere. And they camped out. They literally camped out. PEI encampment. Wow, look at that. They had an illegal encampment. Protesting in Charlottetown, PEI. Just walking around these neighborhoods. We're good enough to work. We're all human beings. We're not robots. Yeah, with all due respect, get the fuck out of my country. Get the fuck out. No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't want it. I don't want these people in here. Because first of all, right, the reason that some Canadians shy against it is because they think, oh, but these people, they just want to come over here. They want a good life. They want opportunity. You know, Whitepill, your family came over because they wanted something better. Yeah, except I assimilated. I didn't shit on the beach. I didn't sexually harass women. I don't sexually harass horses. I don't commit crimes. I'm a citizen. I do my part. I vote. I pay my taxes. I work an honest job. I don't commit crimes. I help my community when I can. I help my family when I can. I don't have a sense of nepotism. I don't hire only my own, which is what these Indians do. That's exactly what they do. And I know this for a fact because I have somebody that's close to me that worked in an Amazon warehouse, and that place is rife with Indians. And the only way that you could get a management position up there is if you were Indian and of a certain caste. That's what they do. They get into an organization and they hire their own, and then that's it. Boom. The door closes to anybody that's not an Indian. Wow. What a great people to have in our country. And what we're taking a chance that maybe 1 out of every 100 is a productive citizen that adapts to our culture. These people have been seen fighting in parking lots over fucking nothing. I mean, shit. The Diwali festival in Toronto. Have you seen this? They're in a parking lot blasting music, shooting fireworks. Look at all that fucking garbage. What do you think happens at the end? They leave. They leave and all that garbage is there. Look at that. Look at the aftermath. Look at this fucking garbage. Are you serious? Insane. They don't share our ideals. They don't share our cultural ideals. They don't share our religious ideals, our national ideals. They don't care because they come from a place where they don't have to. India has literal rivers of garbage. Right? All this microplastic in the ocean problem, I hope everyone realizes. This is actually one of the first episodes that I ever did on the show. That company, OceanGate, right? That goes into the rivers and they clean up the all the garbage and whatnot. One thing you'll notice, one thing you'll actually notice, or not OceanGate, sorry, Ocean Cleanup Project. OceanGate is a submarine. Jesus fucking the Titan submarine. Totally forgot about that. If you notice, look at that. They have 2, one in Bangkok. They have an interceptor in Bangkok. And if you don't believe me just how bad these fucking rivers are, it's insane. Insane. India Trash River. Look at this. Jesus Christ. Look at the, oh my God. This guy just goes around and sells the plastic bags he finds in there. So yeah, people that come from this kind of culture, they're not going to share our ideals. They're not going to share our appreciation for public sanitation. They're just not. So why would we take the risk and import millions of them? And 5 million of their visas are set to expire this year. And the first thing our government does is they talk about a GST credit. Are you serious? This immigration problem is causing so many issues. As once again, I've said on this podcast already, housing, number one, just the cost of living in a city. The fact that young people in their 20s can't afford a single 1-bedroom apartment, even in Toronto, that's crazy. I'm not even asking to live like right downtown at Yonge and Dundas or Yonge and Bloor or what have you. Of course the condos are going to be astronomical there. It's Toronto. But even places like North York, places like East York, it is nearly impossible to find a decent place to live without roommates. And if you do, you're paying out the ass. And I won't disclose how much I'm paying for my apartment, but let me tell you something. It's not a small amount. And this apartment is modest. It's not fucking, this isn't extravagant by any means. This is what an average apartment should be. So, the housing, the crime, the extortion, the assaults, everything. Why are we putting up with this? This is fundamentally changing our society and society to come for the next generation and the generation after that. Especially if they stay here, they have kids, and they stay in their own neighborhood, speaking their own language, don't have to adapt to English, don't even celebrate Canada Day. They go to their own temple. No. Enough. Canadians need to draw a red line. We need to say enough is enough. We need to learn from what's happening in Minneapolis, in Minnesota overall. And we need to adapt. What the Conservative Party of Canada is asking for is not enough. We need to go further. We need to do exactly what the Americans are doing. We have, once again, 5 million people set to have their visas expired this year alone. That's not to say what's going to happen the year after, or the year after that, or the year after that. Immigration might have slowed, and that statistic might have been nice to see during the holidays. We need to deport 10 times that every year. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. I am being literal. If it means that taxpayers have a tax on them, an additional tax, we need a couple extra billion here and there, yeah. Take it from the Ukraine budget. Take it from the Israel budget. Take it from the foreign affairs budget. Wherever. Find the fucking money and get this done. So that I don't have to pay $12 for grapes. So that families can afford decent living. So that students aren't bent over and absolutely reamed by tuition costs, by cost of living, by having job opportunities taken from them. Youth unemployment is at its highest that it's ever been in several decades in just Ontario. Just Ontario. We are kneecapping an entire generation of youth for what? So the boomers can pat themselves on the back and say, oh my God, look at what good of a job we've done with immigration. Look at all these people we've welcomed to our country. Canada's more of an idea, man. It's more of a collection of ideas. It's an economic zone. Fuck off. Canada has united culture. We bleed red and white. Get with the program or get the fuck out. We don't mistreat women. We don't rape horses. We don't drive the opposite side of the road into families. We don't buy trucker licenses. We don't speed down the road with our fucking e-bikes. No. No. We need to demand better of our communities, of ourselves, of our nation. This has to be a coming together moment. This cannot be done by just one side. Because we could very easily slip into what's happening in Minnesota. Very easily. We could just completely go the exact same way that they are. The right tries to gain an inroads into this problem. Get the illegals out. Get the people whose visas are expiring out. Get the criminals out. The fucking predators out. And the left just puts up a blockade. They start following the federal agents. They start going into the neighborhoods and protecting these people. Getting in front of them, meddling with their arrest, getting shot, getting killed. And now they're martyrs. No. We need to learn from that. Minnesota is a lesson. It's a lesson for Canada. This GST thing, the China deal, all of that, in my opinion, it pales into comparison as to what needs to happen regarding immigration in Canada. That is the ultimate issue that we have to face. Are we a country of ideals? Are we a country of peace, order, and good government? Or are we the kind of country that's just going to let anybody in? Me, I prefer the former. I'm a little biased like that. I prefer the former, not the latter. In any case, we've been going on long enough, and it's getting high time that I end off this episode. So look, this is a common issue that's going to come up time and time again. And although I've covered absolutely none of what I wanted to cover tonight, except the GST topic, this needed to be said, and this needs to be said, because too many Canadians are much too polite with this. And we like to joke around it or make memes about it, about how funny they are or what language they speak and some of the stereotypes, but at some point or another, we have to get serious with this. Because what getting serious with this means is federal agents going from building to building and business to business and doing ID checks, enforcing orders of compliance, enforcing orders of immigration courts, people getting put on planes. That's what this entails. And we could just as easily, like the US has, blink in the moment and not rise to the occasion. And that's not to disparage what the ICE officers are doing in the South, because I appreciate what they're doing for America, and I wish them nothing but good luck. But it's more so about the opposition that I'm talking about. And in Canada, we have a hell of a vocal opposition on the left. Extremely vocal, extremely organized, and extremely capable. And we cannot underestimate that. This is not a meme. You know, people keep posting all these posts about remigration. What that actually means is ICE level conflict. That's what it means. People are going to be out in the street. They're going to be protesting, and they're not going to be peaceful about it, because they're going to learn the exact same lessons from Minnesota. All those same chapters of Antifa, they exist up here too in Canada, and they are just as organized. So we have to be extremely serious in our opposition to this. This is not a joke. If anything, it's a call to arms. And I mean that as a metaphor. I don't actually mean take up arms and start being violent against people. I mean we need to start understanding, or at least learning, how to defend from this. How to make sure that the left and their reaction in Minnesota does not happen up here. Because if we've learned anything from the truckers, if we've learned anything from the convoy, it's that the left is extremely capable of spreading its message through the media, through the government, demonizing people, freezing their bank accounts, putting them in prison, having the longest mischief trial in Canadian history, right? That's what the leaders of the convoy got put through for mischief. The longest mischief trial? Are you fucking kidding me? That was their count? That was what they were charged with? Mischief? Because they couldn't find any other, and this will come out in the convoy series we're doing, but because they couldn't land any other charges, they charged them with mischief. What kind of Dr. Seuss shit is that? If it was the insurrection that people say, if it was as extremist as people say, wouldn't they have charged them under, I don't know, the terrorist act? Or any other serious act? No, mischief. They charged them with mischief. The Supreme Court, or rather the Federal Court of Canada, ruled it illegal twice. Nobody's gone to prison over it. People still think that the government was in the right acting the way they did during the convoy. And we think that remigration is going to happen? No, not in this environment, not in this culture. We have to press and press and press until the needle goes in our direction. And I don't mean the right's direction. I don't mean I mean the Canadians' direction, Canada's direction of peace, order, and good government. That's what this nation was founded upon, and that's what it needs to operate under. Otherwise, all of this is lost. All of this is pointless, and we're just an economic zone, and multiculturalism reigns supreme. It's either that, or we fight for the values that made it so that the men that built this nation could stand there and put into writing that Canada stands for peace, order, and good government. That is the choice that lies between every Canadian. I don't know how else I can make that clear. So that being said, we'll end it off here. Let me just pull up the site. As per always, I thank each and every one of you for listening thus far. Tune in this coming Wednesday when my co-star and I, Mr. Fireside Talks, we're going to be going over the proper iteration of the Convoy series, because last episode was a little disappointing. We didn't go as hard in the paint as we needed to. And so we're doing a redo of that, going all in on the lockdowns and the restrictions and the way of life and all the ways that Canadians, everyday Canadians, were pressured to either comply or get vaccinated or just to exist in their everyday lives, losing their jobs, being forced into obscure corners of society because they didn't follow the rules, just completely sidelined by the rest of Canada and their leaders, and they condoned it, and the media supported them. So we'll be going over all that this coming Wednesday. But once again, thank you and everyone for tuning in. If you want to support me, you can like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate anyone that tunes in. If you want to support me financially, don't have to. Don't feel obligated to. But the PayPal link is there. You can find it at bio.link/whitepill. And as I said before, I don't read donations, or rather, I don't read chat during stream. But if you want something read, then you would have to send me a donation through the PayPal there. I don't think there's any limit, so even if you send a penny, I'll read it. Within reason. Within reason. I'll read it within reason. But with that being said, have yourself a good night, and I'll see you guys this coming Wednesday.